Welcome to Outside Views. Today we're diving into one of the most obvious questions of the modern world. Should trans women be allowed to compete in women's sports? And the answer is, you can guess it? No, absolutely not. And today we're going to walk through exactly why. And let's start simple. Sports exist to create fair competition, not to make everyone feel good, not to validate identities, not to serve as political statements. Sports are about fairness, strength versus strength, speed versus speed, skill versus skill. And that fairness only exists because we divide by sex. And we have women's sports for a reason. Because if we didn't, men would win almost everything. Every sprint, every marathon, every wrestling match, every weightlifting competition, every swimming event. Men have psychological advantages. Stronger bones, larger lungs, bigger hearts, higher hemoglobin, but also greater muscle mass, longer limbs, and all of that is established during puberty. Now, here's where it gets messy. Trans women who are biological males go through male puberty, or at least they should. Remember my last video. They develop those advantages. Then later, after transition, they lower their testosterone. But, and this is critical, lowering testosterone does not reverse skeletal structure. It does not shrink heart size. It does not change the shape of the pelvis. It does not undo the greater bone density, or the longer reach, or the higher oxygen capacity. Lower testosterone might reduce muscle mass slightly. It might lower strength a little, but the male body, once built, does not magically reshape itself into a female one. So when a trans woman steps onto the track, or into the ring, or onto the swimming starting block, she brings male advantages with her. Permanent, unchangeable advantages that no hormone therapy can erase. And this is not opinion. This is science. Ross Tucker, a respected sports scientist, points to multiple studies showing retained male advantage even after hormone suppression. 13 different studies. 13. Not blog posts, not activist pamphlets, scientific studies. And meanwhile, Joanna Harper, a trans scientist herself, admits that the evidence is incomplete, that we won't even fully understand the effects for another 20 years. 20 years. And that's a whole generation of girls being asked to just smile and compete against biological males while we just figure it out. Sorry. That is not acceptable. And let's be very clear. The entire point of women's sports is to exclude male physical advantage. That is not discrimination. That is the definition of fairness. The moment you let biological males into women's categories, you destroy the very reason the category exists. And don't fall for the numbers game. Because some argue, oh, there are so few trans women in sports, it doesn't matter. Wrong. It doesn't take thousands. It takes one Leah Thomas. It takes one Laurel Hubbard. One biological male beating females, taking titles, breaking records, taking scholarships. It only takes a few to ruin fairness for everyone else. And let's talk about safety, because this is about more than just gold medals. In contact sports like rugby or MMA, a biological male can seriously injure a female competitor. There have already been cases where women suffered broken bones and concussions after competing against trans women. And this isn't hypothetical. This is happening. And ask yourself, would you put a heavyweight boxer against a featherweight and call it fair? Would you match a grown man against a teenage girl in judo and pretend it's fine? Of course not. But somehow, in the name of inclusion, we are all willing to risk women's bodies, women's health, and women's futures. Inclusion without fairness is not inclusion. It's erasure. And some people suggest, why not have a separate transgender category? And honestly, that would be much more fair. But, as even Harper admits, the numbers are too small for full leagues. You can't build an entire Olympic division for a handful of athletes. It's not practical, at least not yet. But still, that doesn't mean we sacrifice fairness to avoid logistical inconvenience. It means trans women compete in open categories or create mixed divisions, but not in the women's category. Never in the women's category. Because at the end of the day, sport is not about validating feelings. It's about fairness. It's about honest competition. It's about creating a field where the outcome is determined by training, talent, and effort, not biological luck. And let's be honest, if we allow this trend to continue, girls will stop competing. Women will walk away from sports they love. Why would they stay? Why would they dedicate years of training, sacrifice, and pain only to compete against a biological male with innate advantages they can never overcome? And don't tell me, but trans women are struggling. Yes, life can be hard, but you don't solve one injustice by creating another. And you don't save one minority by crushing another. Women's rights are not negotiable collateral in someone else's identity journey. Also, this is not hate. This is not discrimination. This is reality, biological reality. And ignoring it doesn't make you progressive. It just makes you delusional, sorry. And even the UK Equality Act recognizes that. It specifically allows restricting competition by biological sex when safety or fairness is at stake. And guess what? In sports, both are absolutely at stake. And the International Olympic Committee? Well, they failed. They prioritized inclusion over fairness. They created chaos. They refused to even require testosterone levels anymore, which is scientifically absurd. It's like blindfolding referees and pretending you still have a real game. Organizations like World Athletics have started correcting course, banning trans women from elite female categories, protecting the integrity of women's sports, because they understand you cannot have meaningful women's competition if you let males dominate the podium. And honestly, let's not forget, the global movement towards inclusivity must not come at the cost of fairness, reason, and basic biology. We can and must protect trans rights without dismantling women's rights. We can support trans people without pretending male and female bodies are interchangeable. They are not. In sport, details matter. Biology matters. Fairness matters. Inclusion must never mean sacrificing the very people you claim to empower. So thank you for watching Outside Views. where reality still outruns ideology, where fairness still matters more than feelings, and where women's sports are worth protecting, even if a biological male is reporting here. Subscribe, stay rational, stay respectful, and never stop standing for truth over slogans. And if you want to see another video, the next one is right here in the end screen.